What's good, people? I'm back, and today I will be breaking down Magomed Ankalaev versus Bogdan Guskov. Now, the thing about this fight is, I don't care. I really don't care. Uh, we'll get to the fight in a bit. Let me start off this by saying yesterday's my UFC Fight Night DDP versus Usman matchmaking plus recap kind of video was supposed to come out. That matchmaking kind of video didn't come out for three main reasons. One, I didn't feel like doing it. Two, who am I supposed to matchmake? I don't even know half of the guys on that card. Nobody really cares, so I didn't do it. And three, I had a really bad tummy ache. Now listen. Before you guys start clowning me like this guy didn't do a video because of a tummy ache, it was really bad, dude. It was really bad. I threw up like 5 times, dude. It was like one of those stomach aches. I more than likely have appendicitis. I just have yet to get it checked out. I need to get my shit checked out soon because, dude, I like every month, like every 2 months, I'll get a very bad stomach ache, like very excruciating pain. It starts off quite light for an hour and a half. Then for 4 or 5 hours is just straight horrible pain, and then after a lot of vomiting, it stops. I'm throwing up straight bile, dude. I'm throwing up straight green liquid. Like first the undigested food comes out and then straight green liquid comes out. So I was sick. I also have a fever. I also have a sore throat, so I won't be able to be as loud as I want. And also, yeah, this video is gonna be short because I don't want to speak for that long because my throat is sore and it hurts every time I fucking speak. So it's gonna be a little bit short. So I think I gave you guys a bit of background into everything. Also, there's gonna be predictions at the end of the video. So a breakdown and predictions are two different things. I think I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again. Breakdown means pretty much making a game plan for each of these guys and analyzing their strengths and weaknesses and their everything and seeing the matchup as a whole and seeing all the possibilities. Prediction means what do I think is gonna happen. A fighter can be good, a fighter can be 10 times better than the fighter skill wise how they match up. It can be very lopsided, but at the same time it comes fight IQ comes into play, right? Physical conditions come into play. Some fighter might be going into a fight injured, you know. Some fighter might have really horrible fight IQ, that's why I might not pick them. Or do they even come in with the right game plan? That kind of stuff goes into predictions. Breakdown is just you're kind of seeing from afar what the fight really is. So I think yeah, that's the difference between a breakdown and a prediction. So I'll have predictions at the end of the video. Let's get into breakdown finally after 3 minutes of fucking yapping. I just want to say this. I think Ankalaev nearly everywhere is better than Bogdan Guskov. Now the thing about Guskov is he's mostly a boxer. He has some decent leg kicks and he throws up like a kick or two once in a while, but he's mostly a boxer, and so is Ankalaev. Both of these guys are mainly strikers. If anything, Ankalaev is a much better grappler than Guskov. That we know that. To be fair, I'll get to the grappling in a minute. I watched a couple fights, like I watched the Blachowicz fights, everything. So the first point I want to get at is I've never really analyzed Ankalaev that deeply before, and I've done it before, like for the Pereira fights and stuff like that. But I wasn't really focusing on Ankalaev, and I never really noticed this before I went into like studying tape for this fight. That Ankalaev does not have good head kick defense, man. The guy fights at 205. The guy fights at fucking light heavyweight, and he's blocking kicks with one arm. How many times are we gonna need to learn that lesson that you cannot block a kick with one arm? Yeah, maybe if it's like a switch kick, like maybe it's like you throw like a very nice kick off the lead leg. Maybe yeah, you can block that with your lead hand. It hasn't got him in trouble yet, but if to be fair, there aren't many good kickers at 205. There's Alex Pereira, and he was landing that head kick quite well in that fight. It just wasn't enough though. I feel like if there was a really good kicker at 205, like somebody with really good kicks, especially because Ankalaev fights southpaw, that 1-2 head kick is gonna be there. So if there's somebody with very good head kicks and like orthodox, they could do a very good job mixing up that 1-2 head kick, because Ankalaev blocks kicks with one hand, dude. That's gonna cause problems. For one, even if you do end up blocking the kick, your hand's fucked. From open stance, you already can't throw that fucking backhand that you're using to defend kicks, because you're using it to defend kicks. The body kicks are gonna be bad, you know, the head kick, then the ability to mix it up, it's gonna be so bad. But there's nobody that can really kind of use this against him. The guy just, his head kick, when he does block head kicks with one hand, it's decent. It's not good, bro. It's just not. At some point, your arm's gonna be fucked from defending head kicks as well. So I would say if there was somebody who could really take advantage of that, that'd be nice. But there's not really anyone at 205 that can do that, and Guskov is definitely not the guy for doing that. Now, Ankalaev, this is my second point in this video, that Ankalaev switches stances quite a lot. He didn't used to do it as much before, like very early on in his career, but not even recently, like the past 5-6 years, he has been a very good stance switcher. If you go back and watch that first Pereira fight, he switches stances. The way Ankalaev blitzes at you is he switches stances and he throws punches. And every single time this guy switches into orthodox, he throws that fucking left hook. He switches into orthodox, he throws that left hook. And pretty much anytime Ankalaev's bum rushing you, like anytime you press Ankalaev and he presses back, he switches stances while doing it. He'll be southpaw, he'll throw 1-2, then he'll switch to orthodox and throw 3. So pretty much he'll throw straight left, then a left hook, while switching stances. And it's not like it just happens once or twice. He does this. He literally does this. He does like a karate kind of blitz where he goes 1-2-1, but he's switching stances like while throwing straight shots, and that works out really well. Most guys aren't prepared for that. Nobody really thinks. And then he stays into orthodox after throwing that lead hook for a little bit, and it's not necessarily bad, but it's a read, and after a certain point you become predictable. Round 5 against Alex Pereira, in the first fight, Alex Pereira, near the end of round 5, lands a very good jab on Ankalaev while Ankalaev switching stances, trying to pressure him. Alex is backed up to the fence, and Ankalaev's doing the same bullshit that he did for 5 rounds before that, where he's switching stances and he's trying to land something. He throws a 1-2 and then he'll switch stance, throw 3. But it's not Ankalaev's punching mechanics, dude. They aren't there. When he does it, like when you see guys switching stances, Ankalaev doesn't switch stances like that. When he's throwing punches, he steps out so much. That's the only way I can kind of put it. It's weird. The angle he strikes at, his foot positioning. Usually when you see guys switch stances and throw punches, you'll see JDM, right? I'll take JDM as an example. And then you look at Ankalaev. Ankalaev is also doing the same thing, but it looks different because it is different. The angle is just so much different at which Ankalaev tries to fire that shot. Ankalaev's trying to duck under a lead hand and trying to land something over the top. That's what he's constantly trying to do. Whenever he tries to do the fucking blitz and then he tries to switch stances, he tries to duck under a lead hand and try to throw something from like his left hand. Now it's not bad. It works. It definitely works. And it's something he does really well. It's not a weakness or anything. But at a certain point, it becomes predictable, and Alex Pereira did exactly that and timed him with a very clean jab. And that's one thing that's kind of stuck in my head, playing over and over again. And that kind of worries me about Ankalaev, his stance switching and everything like that. Also, the knockdown Guskov did on Jan Blachowicz in their fight in round 2, Guskov also did pretty much the same thing. Guskov switched stances and bombed an overhand on Jan Blachowicz. So pretty much Guskov's orthodox, right? So he switches into southpaw. So he's orthodox. So his right hand, it's supposed to be his backhand, switches into orthodox. So it's pretty much like a jab lunging down, but as he's throwing the punch, he switches into southpaw. So pretty much what happens is he's trying to throw a cross. He's not throwing a jab. So Jan Blachowicz, he's trying to move away from the cross. He's not, but because he switches stances, he covers more distance, and then he kind of knocks Jan Blachowicz down because he's switching stances as he's throwing that punch. Now Ankalaev also has a very decent front kick that's gonna be there against everyone pretty much. Ankalaev. The thing about preparing for Ankalaev is Ankalaev is so good everywhere. It's very hard. It's very hard trying to find, weaknesses for Ankalaev. Now obviously there's the leg kick. He is kind of susceptible to leg kicks. We've seen this before. Well, to be fair, it was Jan Blachowicz. It was one fight that he had chinny legs in, but Ankalaev has pretty good leg kicks of his own, and we haven't seen that problem arise since then as much as before. But Guskov has some pretty good leg kicks as well. I didn't know this while coming in. I thought Guskov just mostly threw punches, but Guskov has some pretty good leg kicks, man. Now, obviously, the speed and power thing, right? Guskov is a much more powerful striker than Ankalaev, but Ankalaev definitely has the speed advantage. I should have said this at the beginning of the breakdown, but I feel like this Ankalaev just is better than Guskov everywhere this fight goes. He's a better grappler, he's a better striker. The way Guskov strikes, he's playing into Ankalaev's game almost. To be fair, it's not as lopsided because Guskov definitely has a pretty decent chance of just landing something big on Ankalaev and knock him out. But if I had to say, like, you have to go 5 rounds, tit for tat, who would I say is better at that? Ankalaev. The best chance Guskov has is landing a big shot and knocking out Ankalaev. That's what I mean by Ankalaev is just better in this fight everywhere. Obviously, Ankalaev is very fast. He's been able to use his speed quite well. But Ankalaev is also small as fuck. Ankalaev for 205 looks small, and maybe that's why he has so much speed, and that's why he kind of sacrifices a little bit of power. That's just how it is. And Bogdan Guskov hasn't really faced anyone with the kind of speed that Ankalaev has, and I don't know how he'll look. More than likely, he'll probably struggle with it on the feet a little bit. That's what got Pereira fucked in the first fight, that he was just very hesitant because of Ankalaev's speed, and I think this is a well-known fact and everything like that. Now, Guskov, I will say this, Guskov has very 1-2 heavy boxing. When I say both of these guys are boxers, both of these guys box quite well, and they have different styles, very different styles. Both of these guys do box, both of these guys mostly use their hands, but Ankalaev throws body kicks, Ankalaev throws head kicks. Guskov doesn't do that. The only time I've seen Guskov throw a fucking head kick was against Jan Blachowicz, and that was off of his lead leg. Ankalaev is a much more dynamic striker than Guskov, and the difference in their boxing is Ankalaev switches stances and kind of does a lot of different things with switching stances and stuff like that. Guskov stays in one singular stance. He doesn't really switch stances as much as Ankalaev. That's one of the main differences in their boxing styles. Another one is Ankalaev has a much more wider range of punches. Bogdan Guskov is a 1-2 kind of guy. Bogdan Guskov mostly throws straight punches. Ankalaev, whenever he switches stances, he's throwing hooks. Ankalaev is a very good check right hook. Like, he's backing up, he throws that check right hook, and it's very nice. Guskov doesn't really have all that. Guskov is mostly a jab cross kind of guy. That also brings me to another point, that Ankalaev's punching mechanics are weird as fuck. Nobody throws punches like Ankalaev. Like, genuinely, it's not bad. Okay? It's just not the way people usually throw punches. You look at Ankalaev's jab. You look at the way this guy throws a fucking cross. That's not even the problem. Just look at how much he swings and where he's swinging from. I don't know how to put it. It just looks weird. Like, you look at a check left hook from somebody like Pereira, for example, or fucking Allberg KOing Yuri. You compare that check left hook to Ankalaev's check right hook. Something just isn't right. His punching mechanics are weird. His punches come from a slightly weird angle. It's not like a Yuri Prohaska where his punching mechanics and the angle he punches at is just completely off. It's just slightly off, and he throws his punches slightly at a weird kind of style, and I think that caused a lot of problems. Obviously, I've discussed a lot about this matchup and stuff like that. Now, how does Ankalaev win this fight, and how does Guskov win this fight? Like I said, we're kind of trying to make a game plan for both of these guys here. Ankalaev, do what you did against Pereira for the first fight. Guskov, he has a slightly longer reach, but pretty much just blitz in, blitz out, keep your guard up, try to evade straight punches. That's pretty much all you have to worry about. Against a guy like Pereira, there's so many strikes coming at you your way. Guskov doesn't have that good of leg kicks. There you don't need to pay Guskov a lot of respect, but you do need to like kind of respect his power a little bit early on into the fight. Like rounds 1 and 2, you kind of have to respect the fact that if Guskov catches you at the chin, you're fucked. But other than that, just pretty much speed mock the guy, land your jab. Your Ankalaev has a very good jab. Switch stances, blitz in, blitz out. Try to pressure Guskov, and this is what one of the main things in this matchup. Whoever pressures whoever is gonna win this fight. It's as simple as that. Because of Ankalaev's style. Ankalaev, anytime he's getting pressed, he does not do good. Anytime he's the one that's pressing you or your guys are out at space, Ankalaev the one doing good. We saw this in the first Pereira fight. Then in the second Pereira fight, obviously Pereira came in with the perfect game plan, made him switch stances into orthodox with a hard leg kick, and obviously pressured him so he could land that one big shot. Now, as for Bogdan Guskov, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to try to line up that one big straight against Ankalaev, which is a very hard kind of thing because line throwing like a big meaty hook that Pereira threw against Ankalaev, that's kind of easier to do against a guy like Ankalaev than lining up a straight 1-2 on a guy like Ankalaev. But pretty much, Bogdan Guskov has to pressure Ankalaev and pressure him back to the fence and obviously try to KO Ankalaev, but try not to gas yourself out. Now, as for my prediction, the thing about the prediction is I think Ankalaev's got this. Well, for obvious reasons. First of all, Guskov was not preparing for Ankalaev. Second, you look at how they match up stylistically, and the one main thing about this fight is the pressure. Whoever's getting backed up is not gonna be the one winning. And it's because of Ankalaev's style. Because if Ankalaev's backing you up, he's gonna land punches, he's gonna have space to move in and out, switch stances and do all of that stuff. When he's getting backed up, he can't do all that. Against Jan Blachowicz, this happened. Against Pereira, this happened. Against many times this happened, right? Ankalaev can only fight a clean fight. Okay, I should phrase it better. I shouldn't say only, right? Ankalaev's style favors a clean fight where you're out at space, you're moving in and out and stuff like that. The way I would explain it is you're not constantly in danger of getting hit. It's like you're at a danger of getting hit or you're not in danger of getting hit. So either you are throwing punches or you're defending punches. That kind of style works for Ankalaev. If that is the kind of fight it is, a clean fight, that's gonna be in Ankalaev's favor. Obviously, if you can make the fight very dirty and gritty, that's gonna be a problem for Ankalaev. That's why I think Yuri Prohaska is such a bad matchup for Ankalaev. Except for the fact that he fights like a fucking idiot. Other than that, if Yuri kind of fixed that and fought pretty much exactly how he did, and he was able to obviously not try to box at range with Ankalaev. If he tried to do that, that's why I think Yuri versus Ankalaev is such an interesting fight. And Ankalaev, this is what happens. When he gets pressured, he kind of breaks apart. He kind of falls apart when he's the one getting pressured. And again, on a very high pace, not necessarily on a high pace, it just has to be a very dirty fight where you're kind of always constantly in danger of getting chinned. That kind of fight, Ankalaev is definitely struggles in that fight. Jan Blachowicz was able to take advantage of this in round 2, I guess, pretty much. Pereira pretty much did the same. He got straight into his face. He didn't. Obviously, getting into your opponent's face also means taking a risk of getting it. But obviously, against a guy like Ankalaev, that's what you want to do. Volkan Ozdemir, that I watched that fight. He was able to take advantage of this in round 1 before he got dropped horribly. He was doing good. He was able to pressure Ankalaev. He was able to mix in a lot of strikes. He was able to keep the fight a little bit dirty. That's why he was doing well until he got dropped horribly. Nikita Krylov won round 1 because he was able to make the fight a bit dirty and like a bit high pace-esque. Like, what I mean by that is, imagine a Prohaska fight. Even if it's not necessarily high pace, it's still a very dangerous fight. You're always constantly in danger of getting hit. Both of the guys in that fight are gonna be constantly in danger of getting hit. If it's that kind of fight, Ankalaev crumbles. Now Guskov has a very fucking cardio problem. Guskov has a big cardio problem. What I mean by that is Guskov round 3, 4, and 5 gasses out. Jan Blachowicz, you see the round 3 of that fight, he gassed out. He not like horribly gassed out, but you can kind of see him fade into the later rounds. He fades into the later rounds. Ankalaev has very good cardio. That's why I'm gonna go with Ankalaev. Ankalaev also likes to pressure his opponents. He does not like to be the one getting backed up. Guskov has a tendency of getting backed up. You look at round 1 of the Jan Blachowicz fight, you look at round 3 of the Jan Blachowicz fight, he was getting backed up. And I was thinking maybe it's just Jan Blachowicz, maybe it's because of Jan Blachowicz's style. That's not it. Krylov was able to back him up at times, Ozdemir was able to back him up at times. Guskov does get backed up. He's not one of these guys like Yuri Prohaska that, like, usually Ankalaev is able to back up most of his opponents. Only a couple few guys can kind of combat Ankalaev's pressure and kind of not get backed up, and that's what Pereira did so well in the second fight. You cannot get backed up against Ankalaev, and Guskov is just not that guy. That's what somebody who probably won't get backed up by Ankalaev. Pereira, Yuri Prohaska, Guskov gets backed up by fucking everyone. Guskov tries to line up that 1-2. So he tries to line up that 1-2. It's just not gonna work against Ankalaev. When you are at such a speed disadvantage, it's just not gonna work. Now maybe the best case scenario for Guskov is he pressures the shit out of Ankalaev. He's able to establish that he has a lot of power early on. He's able to back up Ankalaev using, like, making Ankalaev respect his power. He can back Ankalaev up using that. And then as Ankalaev's trying to switch stance and do all of that bullshit, he times him with the 1-2. He times him with some some good straight shot. That's what should be the game. That should be the game plan for Guskov. Now, is Guskov gonna come in with that game plan? Probably not. Is Guskov gonna be able to perform that game plan? Probably not. We have went over a lot of things into this matchup. There's a lot of advantages for Guskov, but overall it just boils down to Ankalaev just a better fighter nearly everywhere. Unless you come in with a very, very clear game plan and like a very perfect game plan, like this is exactly what I need to do, you're not gonna win that fight. And that's why I'm gonna pick Magomed Ankalaev, and that's gonna be for this video. I could probably yap for around 10-15 minutes more, but I don't plan on making this video long, and my throat's starting to hurt pretty badly. So yeah, that's it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.